Alright, my first officer stepped out for his walk around, and while he's outside, I'll be doing the cockpit preparation for the captain's side. We'll start off turning off all white lights. So we'll come up to the right hand fuel pumps, come across anything that's white, we'll turn it off. Then we'll come up all the columns of the overhead panel. First one is our recorder panel. We'll turn our ground control on and do our CVR test. We'll hear a beep, a pause, and then another beep. There's a good test. We'll come up to the evac panel, look at the captain and purser switch, make sure that's where our airline dictates we want it to be. Come up to the ADAIRS panel and turn our IR selectors to nav. The IR1 will populate the captain screens. IR2 will populate the first officer screens. And IR3 gives us a speed tape on the standby instrument system. We'll come to the bottom of the center column and turn our lights. Nav logo on, strobe to auto, current cabin lights, seatbelt sign on, portable electronic devices to auto, and emergency exit lights to arm. We'll look at our probe window heat is in the auto position. Our cabin pressure is in the auto position. Our pack flow is normal. Then we'll do our electrical panel check. Bring the electrical system display up on our system screen. Turn off our batteries. Make sure they hold at 28 volts. Bring the batteries back online. Look at our amps and make sure they drop below 60 within 10 seconds. They did, so we have good batteries. We'll come up and do our engine fire tests. We'll be looking for 7 indications when we hold the test button. Alright. Squib and discharge are 1, 2, fire light 3, audio and the master warning are 4 and 5. The engine fire and the engine screens together are 6, and the fire light below the master switch is 7. We'll do the same thing with engine number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 6, 7. Come up to our audio switching knob, make sure it's normal. Back down to the right hand column. Ventilation is all dark. PA is pushed out for the third occupant. And the maintenance panel is all dark. That's the overhead. We'll come down to the center instrument panel. Make sure our ISIS is all aligned and reading correctly. Our clock is correct. Shows the proper time. And our nose wheel steering is on. Down to the pedestal now. We'll come down to our audio control panel. Make sure that we are listening to whichever radios we want to hear and communicating with any of the parties inside and outside of the plane as well. We'll come up to the switching panel, all normal. Thrust levers idle, engine masters off, mode selector normal. Parking brake is on, and gravity gear pin is stowed. On the right hand side, we'll look at our transponder, make sure this is a standby, and then we'll come and program our radio management panel with whatever frequencies we want in there. Prepare our nav charts on our iPads, and then we'll load the FMS, which will be its own video. Ronny, my first officer, just came back from his pre-flight, and so now we're going to start up here at the glare shield and continue with the flow here. We'll both check our altimeter setting. What is it today, Ronny?
3015.
3015. W15 is set down here, and I'll set this one as well. Then we'll check our flight director is on, and our ILS button, if we need it, would be on. We don't need it, so it's off. We'll select our navigation display, mode and range. I'll go to ARC mode, and out to about 20 miles is good for this departure. And then I'll keep coming across and set up VOR and ADF selectors. I'll put my number 1 here on VOR, and then 2 I'll just have off. And then I come across and set up the FCU. We have managed speed, managed heading. Our altitude will be set for our initial clearance limit, which is 5,000 feet. And that's all for the glare shield. Now we'll go out to our oxygen masks. Lift up the door for the oxygen mask. There's a press to test and reset button. When I press that, I'm going to look for the little yellow star in the window. There it is. And while holding the button down, I'll press this red button under the mask hose and look for a continuous flow indication in the star. That's a good test. Now we come back into the instrument panel. We'll both check our PFD and nav display brightness. Get those set up however we like. Get our loudspeaker knob turned up to about the 12 o'clock position. And check our PFD and ND for correct readings. Then I will come and check the landing elevation on the ECAM. Check the pressurization button. Look for landing elevation auto, and our landing airport elevation is selected. That's a good test.
And while he does that, I will make sure that the IRSs are aligned, so I don't want to see any IRS aligned messages. Also want to click init, IRS init, and then want to make sure that all 3 of my IRSs are aligned on GPS. Then I want to click data, then position monitor, and again I want to make sure the IRSs are aligned.
After that, we'll both check the ECAM status. There's no status message, but I'll go ahead and press the button just to make sure it is normal. And I'll do my takeoff briefing.